Two women. Two truths. Both breaking their silence. Christine, exposing favoritism and intimacy struggles that left her feeling invisible. Meri admitting the sisterhood itself had unraveled. But what happens when loyalty collides with loneliness? By the end of this story, you'll see how both women redefined what it means to walk away, and why their voices changed the sister wives' legacy forever. Thin walls. Silent nights. Laughter meant for someone else. For Christine Brown Woolley, those whispers cut deeper than any fight. And for Meri Brown, once the foundation of the family, the realization was just as devastating. Their values, their visions, no longer aligned. But first, let's step back into the walls of the Brown household, where the seeds of heartbreak were planted long before the cameras stopped rolling
together. But they never talked about with everybody
this moment.
No.
So it almost feels like
Christine Brown Woolley, this wasn't just imagination, it was her reality inside the sister wives' household. And now, in her explosive new book, Christine finally reveals the chilling truth about her marriage to Kody Brown. But here's the twist: what she exposes doesn't just shatter her past. It rewrites everything we thought we knew about sister wives. The favoritism, the intimacy struggles, and the heartbreaking silence that tore her apart. By the end of this story, you'll see Christine's courage in a way you never expected. But before we get to Christine's shocking final confrontation, let's rewind to where it all began. Christine entered the Brown family as the third wife, bringing her own gentle spirit, humor, and warmth. But beneath the surface of the TLC cameras, cracks were already forming. According to her, the walls inside their home weren't just thin physically. They became a metaphor for emotional transparency and painful exposure. Christine recalls late nights when she would overhear Kody's laughter with another wife, his deeper conversations, and even his affection. These weren't shared moments, they were one-sided, leaving her alone in silence. The walls exposed everything, and what they revealed was devastating. But if favoritism cut deep, it was the question of intimacy that would leave scars that never fully healed. In her book, Christine reveals that intimacy with Kody became rare, strained, and conditional. She describes moments when she felt not just unwanted, but invisible. For years, she struggled with rejection and the crushing realization that her worth in the family was being measured against others. The thin walls had already exposed favoritism. But the intimacy struggles? They exposed the truth. Christine was fighting for a marriage that no longer existed. And when she confronted Kody, she didn't just face him, she faced the raw truth of a system that was never built for her happiness. When these revelations hit the public, fans erupted. Viewers who once defended Kody began to turn. The backlash was immediate, fierce, and emotional. Christine's bravery in speaking out transformed her from just another wife into the heroine of Sister Wives. But Christine's story doesn't end in heartbreak. It ends in power and freedom and in a love story she never expected. Today, Christine Brown Woolley stands not as a wife fighting for scraps of affection, but as a woman who reclaimed her voice, her heart, and her future. She's remarried, she's smiling, and she's finally living on her own terms. Her book is not just a story of loss, it's a roadmap to strength. And for millions of women who felt unseen in their own relationships, Christine's words are more than confessions. They are liberation. What do you think of Christine's revelations? Was Kody's favoritism the beginning of the end? Let us know in the comments. We read everyone. Part 2. She was the first wife. The loyal one. The one who stood by Kody Brown through every storm. But now, Meri Brown is rewriting her own story. In a stunning new interview, Meri opens up about where she really stands with her former sister wives. And what she reveals will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, family, and love. Yes, there were good times. But Meri admits something far deeper, that their values no longer align. And when she pulls back the curtain on her life after the split, the truth is far more emotional than anyone imagined. By the end of this journey, you'll see Meri's transformation in a way that will leave you stunned. But before we reveal the moment Meri finally decided to walk away, let's revisit the cracks that began it all. Meri Brown entered the sister wives family as the first legal wife of Kody. For years, she carried the role of foundation, the steady presence in a household filled with shifting dynamics. But as the family grew, so did the distance. The bond that once seemed unshakable began to fracture. In her interview, Meri recalls the joy of shared holidays, laughter-filled dinners, and moments of unity. But she also points to the underlying currents, different visions of marriage, conflicting values, and silent hurts that grew louder with time. The very ideals that once held them together slowly began to tear them apart. And when the laughter faded, Meri was forced to face a painful reality. Not everyone was willing to fight for the same future. The climax came when Meri realized that her values and her vision for family were no longer shared by her sister wives. She admits now, in hindsight, that while love once bound them, the differences became impossible to ignore. The breaking point wasn't one explosive fight. It was the quiet, steady unraveling of trust and connection. In the aftermath, fans reacted with a mix of heartbreak and fury. Some viewers praised Meri's courage for finally speaking out. Others blamed the system that forced her to endure years of loneliness. Social media lit up with messages of support, frustration, and even betrayal. For the audience, Meri's revelations weren't just entertainment, they were a mirror of struggles many women face in silence. The twist? Despite the pain, Meri speaks with surprising grace. She doesn't erase the good times, she acknowledges them. But she makes it clear, those memories live in the past, and she's no longer tied to the values that once kept her silent. And as Meri steps into her new chapter, she's not looking back. But is the world ready for this version of her? Today, Meri Brown is a woman transformed. She no longer defines herself by the approval of her former husband or the alignment of her sister wives. Instead, she stands proudly in her independence, her values, and her self-worth. Her interview isn't just a reflection, it's a declaration. For every woman who has ever felt unseen, unheard, or out of alignment in her own relationships, Meri's story is a reminder. You have the right to walk away, and you have the power to build a life that is your own. Do you believe Meri made the right choice to step away from her sister wives? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing your thoughts. Let's deep dive in full details. Part 3. Christine's book paints a haunting image. Living in shared spaces with thin walls, she heard everything. Kody's late-night conversations, his laughter, his attention given freely to others, withheld from her. What should have been a home of unity became an echo chamber of favoritism. For Christine, Intimacy wasn't just physical, it was emotional validation. And when those walls revealed she wasn't receiving either, the cracks began to widen. But Christine's heartbreak was only one chapter. Another was being written by Meri. Meri, the first wife, recalls both joy and loss. She admits the good times were real, the dinners, the laughter, the bonds. But beneath it all, values shifted. Trust eroded. The vision that once united the sister wives no longer matched her own. In her words, it wasn't betrayal that broke the family, it was misalignment. Slowly, she found herself standing alone, even in a crowded home. But while Meri tried to adapt, Christine was already preparing for a confrontation that would change everything. The sister wives' timeline shows us the unraveling in slow motion. Christine's frustration built quietly across seasons' subtle sighs, emotional interviews, moments fans only later connected. Meri's storyline unfolded differently, from loyalty to questioning, from forgiveness to detachment. Layered together, their stories revealed the same truth. The Brown household wasn't a united front, but a patchwork of private struggles stitched together for the cameras. And when Christine finally spoke out, the backlash didn't just hit Kody, it changed the way fans saw the entire family. Christine confronted Kody not just about favoritism, but about intimacy itself. She recalls moments of being dismissed, moments where she felt like a burden instead of a partner. The confrontation was raw, filled with years of unspoken pain. And in that moment, Christine realized the marriage she was fighting for no longer existed. The fan base erupted. Reddit threads lit up, TikToks went viral, Facebook groups debated endlessly. Some praised Christine's courage. Others mourned the family's collapse. The backlash wasn't just against Kody, it was against the very idea of the sister wives' dream. But while Christine found her voice in confrontation, Meri found hers in reflection. Meri's revelations surprised many. Instead of bitterness, she spoke with grace. She acknowledged the good, but also admitted the values were gone. She didn't walk away in anger, she walked away in clarity. The twist? While Christine's story was one of explosive confrontation, Meri's was one of quiet transformation. Both paths different, but both leading to the same truth, freedom. And that freedom looked very different for each of them. Christine Brown Woolley is now remarried, living with joy, laughter, and the intimacy she longed for. Meri Brown is building independence, embracing her own values, and creating a life beyond the shadow of sister wives. Their stories remind us, sometimes the bravest choice isn't holding on, it's letting go. And in that choice, both women found power they didn't know they had. But what do their stories mean for the future of the sister wives' legacy? Christine and Meri's voices don't just tell a story of two women, they tell a story of resilience, of knowing when to walk away, and of redefining family on their own terms. For fans, their revelations change everything we thought we knew about the Brown household. Back in season 6, Christine famously described herself as the basement wife, a painful metaphor for feeling unseen. Viewers immediately picked up on the symbolism, debating whether Kody truly valued her presence in the family. Years later, Christine's book confirms what fans suspected all along. The emotional basement wasn't just a figure of speech. It was her reality. For Meri, fans remember the catfish scandal of 2015, a storyline that not only humiliated her on national television, but also revealed the loneliness she endured. These moments, once dismissed as isolated incidents, now feel like puzzle pieces in the larger breakdown of sister wives. Legally, polygamy in Utah has always been controversial. While technically decriminalized in 2020, the stigma remained. Christine and Meri's revelations hit harder because fans realized, even outside legal debates, the emotional cost of polygamy is immeasurable. Religious justifications often clashed with personal needs, and in the Brown household, those clashes were broadcast to millions. Christine's motherhood angle. Beyond her marriage struggles, Christine often emphasized her role as a mother. Fans remember how protective she was of her children, especially during the COVID-19 rules conflict. Christine's book suggests that her decision to leave wasn't just about herself, it was about showing her children what healthy love looks like. Meri's business and independence. Meri leaned into independence long before leaving the marriage. From opening her bed and breakfast to running Lularo Ventures, Meri was quietly building a world beyond the sister wives framework. Her interview confirms, while she may have stayed physically, mentally, she was already carving her own path. November 2021, Christine officially announced her separation on Instagram. The post spread like wildfire, with thousands of fans leaving supportive messages. By January 2022, TLC confirmed the split, sparking headlines across People, US Weekly, and Entertainment Tonight. Meanwhile, Meri's quiet distancing played out more subtly, until her 2023 interview where she finally admitted the values were gone. Seen together, these events don't look like coincidences, they look like a domino effect. On Reddit, one comment with over 15,000 upvotes read, "Christine showed us that walking away is strength, not failure." Another fan on Facebook wrote, "Meri's grace is underrated, she's the quiet survivor of sister wives." Even on YouTube reaction videos, viewers broke down in tears, sharing how Christine and Meri's courage mirrored their own marriages. Christine's wedding to David Woolley in 2023 was a moment of triumph. Fans celebrated not just her happiness, but the symbolism. Christine was proof that life after sister wives could be joyful. Meanwhile, Meri has leaned into her independence, traveling, running her business, and redefining herself. She's no longer Kody's first wife. She's simply Meri on for many women. That reinvention is the most inspiring chapter of all. Do you think Christine and Meri's decisions finally exposed the truth behind sister wives? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If their courage inspired you, hit the like button. Subscribe for more deep dive documentaries, and share this video with a friend who followed their journey. Because sometimes the walls that divide us also set us free.